As I said before, my name is Jess. I'm the community manager here at Sculpteo. And Alvise, why don't you tell them who you are and what you do?
So I'm Alvise Rizzo. I'm product designer at Sculpteo, and I think this is our ninth webinar. I think.
Really? So coming
Yes.
up on 10. Perfect. That's really cool. So we did actually switch formats from we were using a webinar service before, and now we're utilizing Google Hangouts, which I personally enjoy. I think it's a little bit more um, broadcasted, so anyone can join. In the questions field, and you can do that by up in the top right hand corner. I think for you there's going to be six dots. If you click on that and then click the Q&A option, you can actually type a question to us, you can type a comment to us, anything like that. So go ahead and feel free to do that, and we'll be able to see it. It'll pop right up. So if you don't mind, Alvise, I'd like to share just a couple things before we hop into the webinar. Is that
Of
okay?
course.
Awesome. So, just a few things that I want to share with you. We have a ton of stuff going on our blog this week. So, if you don't follow the Sculpteo blog, I would recommend going over and checking out all of the amazing stories we have. For example, we have something that actually was released yesterday regarding intellectual property law and copywriting law. Regarding 3D printing. We also have a couple of ebooks that we talk about in our blog, and some customer feedback. So basically user stories. So people have used Sculpteo to make prototypes or products for their business, and we actually share those stories with you. So that is just one thing that I'd like to recommend. The second thing that I'd like to recommend is that you check us out on LinkedIn. We actually have a group, like a Sculpteo group, that interacts and kind of shares stories and answers questions. So it would be great to be a part of that group if you're not already. So perfect. Without further ado, let's go ahead and talk about the model that we are going to be covering today, Alvise. I'll turn it over to you.
Yeah, sure. So today we are going to talk about uploading files for multicolor printing, and so as you know, we allow people to print 3D print models with our Z Corp machine, and to do that, they need to have a 3D file, of course, and attach to it some kind of texture or color information. So what we suggest to do is to zip everything in one folder and upload it all together in our website. The direction that we've always been giving to everyone concerning file sizes, it's to never exceed 50 megabytes of cipherable files, because over that the uploading will be really slow and will be even really difficult to handle for our website. So we'll make all the experience awful. And
Perfect. Do
and
you want to
we
share our website with people so that they can see kind of where you're talking about and where they can upload and all of those fun things?
Sure.
Awesome.
So let's start sharing my screen, and I'm going to show you what the file where we are dealing with today. So I've been telling you about uploading files, and this particular file was actually being refused by our printing center because it's being considered too big. So the too heavy for our to be handled by our machine. So the Z core machine, and it's a bit strange situation because the person that uploaded is David. We just know the name actually. Thank you, David, by the way, for providing the file. The file that David uploaded in the website was smaller than 50 megabyte, but is being refused because we actually decompress files when they get uploaded in website. So what Sculpteo does automatically is checking the printability of the file and translate any format that you provide us into a WRL file that can be read by the Z-core machine. During this process, what sometimes happen is that since the file that you upload might be very compressed, during the decompression process, the file weight might increase a lot sometimes, and that's the case of the file that we have here today.
Okay, can I ask a
Um,
very quick question? So is it common, I guess more common for this issue to arise with specific types of prints, or can this happen across the board?
this happens with, of course, only with full color prints. So only when we choose multicolor as material, and it happens with some kind of textures. And I will. It's better. I think it's clear, more clear if I show you the particular texture we are talking about, so you to better understand. So first of all, this is a figurine, of course, of a scan coming from a 3D scan, and it's 7 centimeter high, so it's quite small. So keep this in mind. I will go to my desktop now because I want to show you how the file that David uploaded to our website looks like. So I have two folders here. One's called before upload. And so this is the original folder that David zipped and uploaded to Sculpteo's website. Let's check the weight of the whole folder. I go to properties, and this folder is just 14 megabytes. So way less than our 50 megabyte limit I was mentioning before.
Mm-hmm.
So perfect for being uploaded in the website. And then I have another folder called after upload. So the folder after the reparation and the decompression that our website automatically does. Um,
So the only difference between those two is the fact that one is compressed and the other is not?
exactly. And this file, this folder weighs 200 megabytes. So it's way too heavy for our Zco machine, and it will result in making the machine crash. So we had to refuse this kind of file. But let's check inside the file to see the reason why this happened. So in the before upload folder, we have the 3D file, so the geometry of the scan that is composed by the OBJ file that it weighs 14 megabytes, so quite low as well, and the MTL file that contains the mapping and the color informations of the 3D file. That is very less. It's just 1 kilobyte, so very light.
Yes.
Then the third file is a texture file that is a JPEG image in this case, and it's also very light, just half megabyte. Um, the problem is that after upload, so let's move to the second folder. What was the 3D file? So the geometry that was OBJ file before has been translated, so decompressed into a WRL file that is just a bit heavier, so 17 megabyte instead of 14. So not much difference in the scale. Um, the problem is here. The JPEG file that was just half megabyte becomes a PBM file, sorry, that weighs 192 megabytes. So very heavy, and so it can't be handled. This is an uncompressed JPEG file. So this doesn't happen all the time, doesn't happen with every JPEG file. It happens with JPEGs that looks like this. I'm going to open this texture. This is how the texture of that scan that we were seeing before in the website looks like. Um, it's a strange texture because all the black area that you see around these colors is actually useless. We don't see the black area in the model. We just see the colors that are in the square on the top left of the image.
Right. You
So
can see like the number on his jersey and things like that. So
exactly.
that
So if
top
we
left section,
zoom, yeah,
yeah, that top
only
left
the
section
top
is
left section.
perfect. So go ahead and show us what we can do to fix this issue and all of that black space around that we're not going to be
So
using.
yes, we have to. Second thing we have to do is to check the size of this image. So I'm moving to properties. Sorry, it's in Italian because it's my computer. So
No worries.
properties and dimensions, dimensioni here. That's the dimensions of the image. It's 8,000 per 8,000 pixels. So this is a huge image. It's unnecessarily big for this type of 3D model. So we actually made a blog post about this topic a while ago, where we suggest the correct size for textures for multicolor print, and I'm going to
Well,
move to that post.
okay, perfect. And just so that everyone knows, we're actually going to be linking to this post in the show notes or like the description of the YouTube video that's going to be released pretty shortly here. But Albaze is going to take us there, so go ahead.
Yeah, so we're moving to our blog basically.
Yeah.
This is Sculpteo's blog, and I'm going on the search here, searching for resolution. Here it is. Which texture resolution for your multicolor 3D prints? In this blog post, we took the same figurine, this guy here, and we printed 3 times with 3 different texture size. The first one was 8,000 per 8,000, so the same size of the texture that we are dealing with today. The second one, it was 2,000 per 2,000. The third one, just 1,000 per 1,000. We printed them and then we compared them. Um, this figurine was 18 centimeter, so like twice high than the one that we are dealing with today, and
Mhm.
still the difference was uh, pretty invisible, almost invisible. So there was just a bit more contrast on the letters on the shirt of the guy on the 8,000 per 8,000 texture, but was barely visible. I mean, um, you
That's true.
yeah.
There isn't a lot of
Uh, you can hardly
correction.
see yeah, you can hardly see the difference between these models when you have them in your hands. So what we suggested at the end of the blog post in here are some standard sizes for textures. And so it's very easy then for anyone just to find the size, the more or less the size in centimeters of your texture, of your model, sorry, and then see what's the corresponding uh, texture size
Value for a
should be.
second.
Sorry. Okay, so I was saying it's very easy for anyone to find out what the correct texture file for your model should be. For example, for a model that is between 15 and 20 centimeter high, the texture should not be more than 2,000 per 2,000 pixel. If bigger, 4,000 per 4,000, and so on. So in this way, following these advices is it's impossible that your file will be refused, and very difficult that your uncompressed JPEG will result in a heavy file like the case we are seeing today. So let's go to check again the file that at the beginning that David uploaded was 77 millimeter high, so small file, so less than 15 centimeters. We should bring this texture to 2000 per 2000, no more than that, to have a lighter file. And I've been doing that already, and I uploaded the modified file to show you the difference between these two resolution in the 3D viewer. So uh, I'll, I will put them next to each other so it's easier to understand. So on the left, we have original David file with a texture of 8000 per 8000 pixels. I'm going to zoom in at this distance. On the right, we have exactly the same model, but with the texture that was reduced to just 2000 per 2000 pixel. So in the viewer, let's wait for the high quality rendering, a couple of seconds. In the viewer, you can see uh, some differences, for example, in the text on the shirt and some other details, perhaps on the bowl. But as the picture and the blog post state, this difference will not be visible in the print at all. So what you see on the screen on the 3D model is not always what you see in the print, because there is no real need to have a texture bigger than 2000 per 2000 at this scale, at least. So that's very important because this will save you time in uploading and will prevent your full color prints to be refused, for sure.
Well, we have about 4 more minutes left. Do you want to kind of wrap it all up and put a nice bow on it for our viewers, just to let them know how they can kind of manipulate these?
Yeah, of course. I can. The way I decrease the files was actually very simple. I just open it in Photoshop. You can do it with any image editing software, I guess. Inkscape is free and uh, it's very easy to use.
Perfect.
I'm using Photoshop, and for in this case, I'm just taking the JPEG before upload. So here, this the half megabyte file, print it in Photoshop, and moving to image size, and checking its width, 8000 per weight 8000, and just typing new 2000. So it becomes smaller, and if we zoom in, you might see a bit less definition,
Mm.
but it's actually
Won't
not
affect.
gonna change anything. It's not gonna affect your print. So we can export this JPEG here again, reduce. And a good trick for me to really be sure that this, even the new file, even the new texture is not too big for our machine, our Z-Core machine, to be understand, is to reproduce what the website does. So as I showed you before, the website translates the JPEG textures into BPM textures. So why not doing that by ourselves and check the size before uploading? So I'm going to export this in PBM directly, and I'm going to the same folder to check the size. So here is our PBM file, and it's just 11 megabytes. So by reducing the image from 8000 per 8000 to just 2000 per 2000, I decrease the PBM file from 190 megabyte to just 11 megabytes. So I'm now sure that enclosing this in the folder when uploading will not result in a in a big file and not create any problem when decompressing the file for 3D printing.
Awesome.
So
I have
yeah,
a quick question. Do you change the name at all, or do you leave it the same name? And do you delete the original, or do you just keep everything in there? Will that affect it,
uh,
or is it?
what I can, well, yeah, what I should do in this case, if I just modify the texture,
Hmm.
if I keep the same extension, so if I produce another JPEG, I can just name it the same way and substitute it. In this case, I modified both the name because I added reduce at the end, and the extension because I translated it into a PBM. So what I should do here is modify the information in the MTL file if I want to really have exactly the same model. So it's very easy. I'm just copying the name of the PBM file for the new texture that is going to substitute my JPEG, and I'm going to paste that name in the MTL file. So I need to open the MTL file in a text editor, so block notes in Windows 8 as I have, and just move to the very end of the code. So and I see here model texture that is .jpeg, that is the name of the original texture that was here before. Selecting it and pasting the name that I just copied. New one. It was a BPM. So I forgot to copy BPM. PBM. And then just file save. So I have I can delete the first JPEG. I have the new file with the PBM attached. And let's open it again and check. Okay, so it's very easy, it's very fast, and I've just substitute my texture in this way.
Perfect. That's amazing. I'm so glad that we had the opportunity to kind of cover all of this. So remember, if you get the error, I think it's called, is it file too heavy? Is that what is the actual error message?
Yeah, what we say normally is file too heavy.
Okay, perfect. So remember, if you get that error message, definitely check out both this video or our blog post that's going to be linked in the description notes as well.